Hello and welcome to the 21st Century Hermitage. Today I'm talking about blackberries. Blackberries are a member of the rose family and we've eaten them since Neolithic times, some 12,000 years ago. Like other roses, they have thorns and flowers, the flower and head of which turn into blackberries. Now most people are familiar with blackberries because they are one of the most successful plants in the world. They are widespread all across temperate Europe and have naturalised in Northern America and in Australasia. Their success is mostly due to them not being fussy where they grow. Any free draining soil with sufficient nitrogen will do for them. Birds also help spread their seed. We've all seen purple bird poo. Blackberries or brambles are so successful that they're perhaps the most iconic hedgerow plant in the countryside, and even people who know nothing about foraging have probably picked a few blackberries at some point in their life. And if you've picked blackberries in the wild yourself, you would have noticed that there's different flavours from bush to bush. And there's two reasons for this. Firstly, they're probably a different species. They may look all very similar or the same, but there's actually 400 microspecies in the UK alone. And the second reason is really quite interesting. It's the phenomenon that blackberries actually absorb the flavours of surrounding fruit trees and fruit species, including plums, pears, apples and grapes. If you found a blackberry bush which is particularly productive and that you like the flavour of, why not take a cutting and try and grow it at home or in the allotment? I'm going to show you the easiest way to take a cutting from a blackberry and propagate it yourself at home. To understand how to take a leafy stem cutting from these brambles, let's first understand and have a look how the brambles spread themselves naturally, and the answer is above me here. These are stems or canes. Okay, the bramble plant will shoot out these stems or canes in an erect fashion. Eventually they will flop over and bend over under their own weight, and eventually they will touch the ground where they will take root from the bud. You'll see this stem has popped over and eventually flop down onto the floor, and this one's already taken root. Oh no, it hasn't. You'll see this stem is just about to take root. When they take hold, they're really quite firm and they can grow across the floor horizontally as well, and they make pretty good tripwires, as most people who spent any time in the woods will tell you. And it's this part of the plant that you want to take your leafy stem cutting from. Now you need a length about 6 or 7 inches, okay, and about the thickness of a pencil. You want to cut this when the plant is very healthy and firm and in bloom. Try and get a leafing bud in the middle of the cutting. I'm going to cut there, and I'm going to cut there, and about halfway you'll see I'll have a bud. Just going to tidy it up, and on the ends you want to cut diagonally across in a direction away from the bud. I think I need some new secateurs. Okay, once you've neatened it up like so, you get your pot of compost and you plant it just with the bud half in and half out of the compost, just like so. You won't need any rooting powder to help this on its way. Brambles have got a real strong will to survive. The only rule is don't let it get too wet and don't let it dry out. Okay, and a month or so later, here's one I prepared earlier. You'll have something like this ready to plant in your desired location, and if you zoom in there, you will also see that it can be split into different canes, much like a raspberry plant, so you can split them again. The plant will be ready to produce fruit after about 2 years and will produce fruit for a further 3 years. The ideal place to store these over the winter before planting them out in spring would be in a greenhouse or under the eaves of a shed or a building where they're not going to get totally saturated by the rain. Now I'd recommend planting blackberries at the base of an existing fence like this metal fence here. Not only does it make it look a lot more pretty, it also makes the fence stronger, so eventually as the poles rot and the canes grow strong, the poles and posts will become redundant and a living fence will occur that gives you fruit, gives you shelter and added protection from both wildlife and intruders, human intruders, as this is really nature's barbed wire. Plant these blackberries, but what I did is I encouraged them and I gave them the things they need to really dominate this fence, and the results have been fantastic. basically there's three things I do to maintain and encourage these plants. Firstly, I keep the new growth, these new stems in check. I keep them trimmed back, only allowing the occasional one for new growth. That's to basically let the sun get to the fruit. These particular blackberries are a boundary to our forest garden here. Every winter we rake up all the leaves and other detritus and pile it up against the fence, where we also add some ash from the fire. Berries love ash, and blackberries especially love the high nitrogen content of wood ash. So, does it work? Well, as you can see, there's plenty of fruit on this section where the blackberries have slowly dominated the fence. Here, however, we've only just started doing the method, and as you'll see, there's no blackberries at all. The difference is clear where we've started the method and where we've been practicing it for 3 years. And this is typical of the stuff we rake up and put against the fence to fertilise the berries. I've even added a bit of waste cardboard, again very high in nitrogen. And look at this beautiful thick thicket behind me, absolutely nothing's getting through there. What's really nice is that on the other side of the fence the blackberries are providing food for all the wildlife as well. Foxes and deer eat blackberries along with many other mammals, birds and insects. So it's a real beneficial species to have. The deer can't get through them. Makes them the perfect boundary for either the orchard, the forest garden or indeed an allotment. In fact, throughout history, brambles have not only been used to keep animals out but pen livestock in. When harvesting blackberries, the sweeter ones will be at the bottom of the stem, and as you work your way up, the fruit will be more tart and less sugary. Therefore, the ones at the bottom of the stem are best to be consumed raw or topping a cheesecake or in a yogurt, whilst for jam making and pie making and recipes where you're adding sugar, you're best off using the berries towards the top of the stem. These berries are not only very delicious, but they're packed with dietary fibre and even more packed with vitamin C. There are many things you can do with these, plenty of recipes, but the thing I do every year is I make a very simple blackberry syrup which I store for the winter. The recipe will follow on our Facebook page. Okay, we hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please give us a like. Okay, we're going to pick as many of these as we can before the rain comes. We'll see you next time at the 21st Century Hermitage.